Uncommon Sense with the Senior Delinquents.
Accommodate the Russian oligarchs and make sure we take their ill-begotten gains. We're going to accommodate them. We're going to seize their yachts, their luxury homes, and other ill-begotten gains of Putin's kleptocracy. Kleptocracy and the guys who are the kleptocracies.
Well, that proves, ladies and gentlemen, that President Biden will read anything, or at least try to read anything that's put on his teleprompter. And that's why the theme of today's show is familiarity. Things we are comfortable with, things we should be comfortable with, especially when it comes to technology. Welcome to another episode of Uncommon Sense with the Senior Delinquents. I'm your host, Dennis Silvers, in Las Vegas. My great co-host, Jamie McWilliams, in Tampa, Florida. Jamie, you've done work all of your life in television production, and you've done a great job. But constantly learning and keeping up with the changes in technology really has to be a challenge. And you know what? A terrific pain in the ass, my friend.
Oh, you're right about that. And because the show is about familiarity, I wore my oldest golf hat from the Masters, from a time when I was at the Masters. I won't say how far back. Don't use it that much. My oldest shirt from media shirts I've been given. And so I'm keeping in line with the theme of the show, Dennis.
Yeah.
When you look at the landscape now, you have to become familiar with so many things now that are difficult to be familiar with because of the technology that changes all the time.
Exactly right.
I just have stayed old school to a degree because in my business, I've just had to keep learning so much technology that I said, that's it, I'm teched up. You probably experienced some of the same thing.
Oh, totally, totally. It's a very uncomfortable feeling when you have to kind of relearn something that you've done so well before. But give me an example of what you're talking about, Jamie.
I came out to Las Vegas a few times. We've done the show from the studio.
Yep.
The last time we played golf together, but because of the flight schedule, my flights, which get in at midnight, not the most wonderful time to get in.
No.
Having some luggage. By the time I got it, it was 1 to 1:30 getting shuttled to the rental car center. The last thing I wanted to do was worry about going through a car in low light at night and figuring out how it all works. So using my experience of traveling so much, in advance, I chose a car that was the type of car that I drive here. Now, it could be a Kia or a Hyundai. In this case, it was a Hyundai. Mm-hmm. And while the car was different, it was a hybrid. Basically, most of the controls are where I thought they would be. That's familiarity.
Right.
And that's a tip when you travel. You can say, oh, all of this is great and new, but sometimes it can bite you right in the butt. A previous trip where I did not have that car because the car company didn't carry that, when I was getting ready to leave for the airport, Dennis, in Vegas, I had a little bite to eat, midnight flight going back, and I said, time to gas it up. Okay, where the you-know-what is the damn release lever? Where is the... I'm searching. Now I'm looking at my watch. How much time do I have? Finally, I had to get my phone, look it up on the internet, call somebody up, and it says, oh, we have it under this and under that and under that. And this is when gas was cheap. Who the hell would want to steal your gas then?
I know.
But at any rate, that's, again, another reason why I said, if I have a choice, I am going to get a car that is one that I feel pretty familiar with.
Yeah, no, that I've got to compliment you, though, what you said. When you came out last time, you played pretty damn well when we played golf, number one.
Yep.
And number two, I had the same car. Well, going through, as you know, I've got a new car. And my biggest thing that's really ticking me off after so many years setting the clock on my old car is having to get the manual out to figure out how to set the clock on my new car, Jamie.
Which manual, the quick start or the one that weighs about 8 pounds or 9 pounds?
I put that one away and
need?
I got the quick start. Yeah, you're right.
But, going back to golf, here's another analogy. Having traveled so much doing the TV show, The Traveling Golfer, and not taking my clubs now because travel's gotten to be such a big pain in the ass. When you pick up a new set of clubs, it's not the same.
No.
So again, you try to gravitate toward what kind of feels like it. That's why you want kind of the same specs. And here's another thing. We're getting older. So as we move up one more tee closer, you think, oh, now I'm going to play like I used to be and everything's going to be great. My handicap's going to go back down to where I think it should be.
Yeah, exactly.
It doesn't work that way.
No, it doesn't work that way.
You're all familiar with the distances to the trouble, the bunkers,
Right.
The angles change. Everything's a learning curve. So for a while, you've lost your familiarity with it. You have to learn it again. And Dennis, I know that you had an old computer.
Yes.
And I've been on your butt to get a better computer.
Yes, you have.
But I'm in the Mac world, very comfortable. You're in the PC world.
Right.
You got a computer. You stayed with PC. Against my advice. No, you stayed with your PC. Now you got a nice new Hummer, but is it just as easy to use as the old one, or do you still have some?
No, I've got to get familiar with it. You know what I mean? With a new keyboard and new mouse and programming and stuff. You're right. You've been in the tech world in that sense of doing television all your life, but it's I've got to relearn it, Jamie, and sometimes it becomes frustrating.
And the older you get, the harder it is to learn these things because your brain is programmed to go back to what you're familiar with. I hate to say it, but like when my dad was getting older or my godfather was getting older, they could recall things from their past with great ability to say, this is what I did as a kid, and I remember that. But stuff that happened not so long ago, if we keep going, Dennis, that's our future. So that's another reason to be familiar with stuff.
Yeah, you're not kidding.
In fact, and relating to computers, I transitioned from television for some time into the corporate world,
right,
learning that the major corporations, the Fortune 500s, had broadcast type equipment. The company I worked for at that time was called Sperry Univac, but they had developed the very first computer in the United States, the ENIAC.
Wow.
It became the UNIVAC, going from military applications to commercial applications.
Wow.
As number one, you would think they would have that market sewn up. But it didn't work that way because all of this technology that was now becoming new technology, they started teaching it at the college level, and a new field emerged, IT. And the people who were learning it were not learning necessarily on UNIVAC, and these were great big machines, but they were learning on another company's machines, an upstart, that practically gave them away for some time to the universities called, can you guess it? It has 3 letters. What company it would be?
Can I take a shot? IBM?
Sure. Yes. And over time, because of, again, familiarity, when these people went into the workforce, they started moving up the ladder. They started suggesting what machines they should work with. What do you think they wanted to work with? What they had learned their craft on.
Right.
And IBM, over time, of course, became the dominant player in the market.
Yeah.
That's familiarity at work in a positive, but very expensive way for other companies competing.
I just accepted the fact, Jamie, I'm going to have to do long-term thinking to become really familiar on how the hell to use my new computer.
That's the only thing you have to do, but it isn't easy.
No.
What is getting easy, ways to see the senior delinquents.
Catch us on the web. Just go to seniordelinquents.com. All of the funny stuff, and it's really a great site.
Dennis, before I sign off,
Yes.
I have another, I've got to get it off my chest. being old school, and we're talking about familiarity, when I used to commute into New York or into Philadelphia to work for these Fortune 500 companies or have my own business, I would read the newspaper. I liked reading the newspaper. And at that time, I really believed that while they had some bias, mostly what you were getting was the real deal. Such is not the case, unfortunately, now.
No.
The newspaper that I get here in Tampa is so far to the left. Remember when they have the hearings starting up and they had the witnesses for the insurrection?
Yes.
Well, guess what the headline was in the newspaper? Not, let's see what's going on, but Trump's January 6th rampage.
Oh my God.
It wasn't alleged, testified. It was just he had a rampage. I don't think that was the case.
No.
And just recently, they have had a campaign that says, support your local paper. And I'm thinking to myself, guys, like so many things, you did it to yourselves.
Exactly right. Well, I'm glad you got that off your chest, Jamie.
I got it off my chest.
Good. All right.
And Dennis, one other thing before we leave, because
Jamie.
this show is on familiarity, I am going to have something very familiar. And a familiar sign off until next time. Hi ho, Silvers!